What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. For this camera comparison we have the brand new GoPro 12 and of course the DJI Osmo Action 4. As always we are going to split this video into three sections. The first section has to do the internal microphones on these two action cameras, so we are going to figure out which one records sound better. The second section has to do the video stabilization, so I'll do some running, some walking, some biking, so we can figure out which camera has better video stabilization. And of course the last section has to do with the video quality, so I'm going to show you different resolutions in different settings so we can figure out which camera has better video quality. With that being said, let's start by checking out some sample recordings so we can figure out which camera has a better internal microphone. Alright, we have a quick microphone test outdoors between the DJI Osmo Action 4 and of course the GoPro 12. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second with both cameras. I am outside as you can see for yourself, and it is also a bit windy, so you may hear some wind aside from my voice. I have the video stabilization set to boost on the GoPro 12 and rock steady on the Action 4. And now you should be able to hear some wind because it did get a bit windy. Let me walk this way. This way you can actually see how cameras do if you are walking, because there is a bit more noise whenever you are walking. So a better understanding how the internal microphones of these two cameras work. So yeah, this is how the sound will be captured from the Action 4 and the GoPro 12 outdoors. Alright, we have a quick microphone test indoors between the DJI Osmo Action 4 and of course between the GoPro 12. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second and I have the fields of view set to wide for both cameras. I am in a pretty quiet room here, so the only thing you should hear is my voice. So this is how the internal microphones on these two action cameras would pick up sound basically. Alright, so for sound quality I definitely prefer the Action 4. It seems to be a bit louder, and also whenever it gets windy the sound doesn't become muffled like it becomes muffled from the GoPro 12. So I personally prefer the internal microphones in the Action 4. So moving forward I'm just gonna use the audio from the Action 4 for all the future videos that you're about to see. Next we're gonna move on and check out some sample recordings so we can figure out which camera has better video stabilization. So let's check out those sample recordings and I will be right back. For our first test for video stabilization between the Action 4 and the GoPro 12, we're going to be doing a combination of walking and running. We're recording in 4K at 30 frames per second. I have the fields of view set to wide on both cameras and the maximum level of video stabilization on both of them. We're going to start running. We're going to turn around somewhere here. So we'll do a loop and I'm going to start running a bit faster. We'll go left, we'll go right, left, and we'll walk straight. So this is how the video stabilization would work on the Action 4 and of course the GoPro 12. We are moving on to our next test for video stabilization. We are recording in 4K at 60 frames per second. I have the fields of view set to wide and both cameras set to the maximum level of video stabilization. And I'm going to be riding the bicycle as you can see. So we'll go this way, we're gonna go right, we'll go left, we'll go right around here, we're gonna go left once again, we'll do a turn right here, and we'll go this way. So this is how the video stabilization works on both action cameras, for biking at least. I also want to show you how horizon balancing and horizon lock works on the GoPro 12 and of course the Action 4. So once again we are recording in 4K at 30 frames per second, the field of view set to wide and the maximum level of video stabilization. So let's go running around here. We'll turn left, we'll go around this tree, we'll go right, and turn around. So yeah, this is how the video stabilization would work. So after checking out those recordings, yes, I can tell you that both cameras do really well for video stabilization. However, if I do have to compare the two, I feel that the GoPro 12 does slightly better for video stabilization. There are a couple of moments in there where the GoPro 12 clearly did better than the Action 4 here, even though I was using the Rocksteady Plus mode for the Action 4. And that's basically the best level of video stabilization, and you've probably noticed that it does crop quite a bit whenever you're using that Rocksteady Plus level of video stabilization. So for video stabilization, I feel that the GoPro 12 does better. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some more sample recordings so we can see which camera has better video quality. For our next recording, we are doing 4K at 30 frames per second with both cameras. I have the field of view set to ultra wide on the Action 4 and super view on the GoPro 12. I'm just gonna walk this way and we're gonna pan right, so kind of this way, and we'll walk this way for a bit. The video stabilization is set to boost on the GoPro 12 and Rocksteady on the Action 4. So 4K at 30 frames per second. Okay, and we are moving on to our next recording. For this recording, I have the GoPro 12 set to the HDR mode. We are recording in 4K at 60 frames per second with both cameras. I have the fields of view set to wide, the video stabilization set to Rocksteady Plus on the Action 4, and of course auto boost on the GoPro 12. So let's see how that HDR video looks like. We have a combination of sunshine and shade around here. So yeah, 4K at 60 frames per second between the Action 4 and of course the GoPro 12. HDR mode on the GoPro 12. Next, we are moving on to a 1080p at 30 frames per second recording. I do know that some people love recording in 1080p, so that's why I wanted to show you a quick 1080p sample as well. So 1080p at 30 frames per second, we have the fields of view set to wide. It's also quite windy here, so you're probably gonna hear a lot of wind in this recording. I'm gonna stop here, we're gonna pan right slowly, and then back left. So 1080p at 30 frames per second between the Action 4 and the GoPro 12. Okay, next we are moving on to another HDR video on the GoPro 12. So I'm recording in 4K at 30 frames per second with both cameras. The fields of view are set to wide. I have the video stabilization set to Rocksteady and boost on the GoPro 12, but I do have the HDR mode enabled on the GoPro 12. On the Action 4 we don't actually have an HDR mode available. So I just wanted to show you how both cameras would capture this kind of environment, because we have a combination of sunshine and shade here. So yeah, 4K at 30 frames per second with a field of view set to wide on both cameras. For our next recording, we are doing 4K at 120 frames per second with both Action cameras. I have the field of view set to wide on both of them. The video stabilization set to Rocksteady and boost on the GoPro 12. So this is how a 4K at 120 frames per second recording would look like if you are riding the bike. Alright, and lastly I'm gonna show you some low light footage. Now, of course, I didn't want to wait for the evening. I wanted to put a video out already, so I am filming in the garage downstairs basically. It is fairly dark in here. Of course we have some lights, but overall it is darker than normal. So you can definitely see how both cameras would perform under these conditions. Let's walk around there where it gets darker. Hopefully the lights don't come on as soon as I step there. but I can clearly see that the Action 4 does much better under these conditions compared to the GoPro 12. So here I can actually see everything on the screen of the Action 4, where I can barely see anything on the screen of the GoPro 12. So for low light there is really no comparison. The Action 4 will do better in pretty much all situations, in low light situations. See what I mean? So big difference for low light performance. Alright, so for daytime video quality, I have to give it to the GoPro 12. The footage does look a bit sharper. Whenever you're using the HDR mode, the footage does look better. You can see better in those shadier parts of the recordings. So for video quality, yes, I do prefer the GoPro 12. Now for these recordings that you've just seen, I use the color profile normal on both cameras. And well, I find that the Action 4 was a bit closer to the real colors. The GoPro 12 does have a bit more yellow in those recordings, I'm gonna say. Now for nighttime recordings, there is really no comparison. The GoPro 12 is pretty much unusable, I'm gonna say. So if you're planning to record anything in low light, the Action 4 will do much better. So what do you guys think about the GoPro 12 and the Action 4? Which one do you prefer? Which one would you buy? Is it worth buying the GoPro 12, or should you buy the Action 4 instead? Definitely leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.